Alright, here it is, evening of December 31st. I've got, there's still a lot of projects I'm in the middle of, but I got things kind of set up to where I'm going to show things off. I don't think there's much different about the entryway, except for this little setup I have here. You can kind of see that cable to power my lighthouse for my Vive. So, I'm sure plenty of y'all have not played around with VR. You can see here I've got another corner here. So we can begin with, even though the anime DVDs are still the prominent part of this, because I've made this space here very modular, I was able to basically give myself a nice large space to do VR stuff in. So I have this up here and that up there, and those are the two corners of my play, not my play space, but they trace out my play space here. And you can kind of see a couple of weird things I've done in order to make the VR stuff work. So what this is, right now it's the only thing plugged in there, but the idea is, if I need to use that switch I probably could, but I usually turn this one off. Because for whatever reason, I can see that reflection, interesting. Because for whatever reason, when I have that on, my TV remote has trouble working. And if I were to take a guess, it's probably because the lighthouses use infrared radiation. Just like infrared radiation isn't the right word, just infrared light, just like controllers do. And so there's probably just some interference going on there. So the ability to turn this on and off is important. You might notice that this shelf has been covered with a blanket. I was experiencing the controllers every once in a while getting confused, and then I kind of took a guess that because I have glass covering to these shelves, that maybe the light from the lighthouses was able to bounce off these shelves. And I'd like to say perfect tracking now that I fix this, but the truth of the matter is there's one thing not perfect, and that's usually the waist tracking, but waist tracking is a little expected. So the other thing I've done for VR is I've installed this turquoise shelf where you can see I can plug things in. I have a little USB tower to plug in my headset, my controllers, my full body, as well as place my 3DSs somewhere where they can be charged, even though I haven't fired them up forever. Keep my headphones somewhere nearby. This has also allowed me to, I've had this audio set up for a while, but I've been able to, keep this turned on. I don't think you've ever seen that light on because I normally have it off, but it's really nice. The computer itself, for the VR stuff, is here. You can see these three things are, they're for the full body tracking, separate trackers for each, but otherwise, this is the main cord and the main box that the VR stuff hooks up to. It goes into the back of that computer. But this whole setup, it's really good. This computer is also built in order to facilitate streaming on Twitch. So if you've seen some of that stuff, I've got a really long cable here that it goes all the way back to that mixer, and that's how my brother and his friends plug their stuff in. As for the probably should have, yeah, here it is. I also have a little headphone plug so that when somebody's playing on the Switch, I can split the HDMI audio off, so the HDMI still goes to the computer to be video captured, but blah 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 blah. This has become more intricate, but exactly the way I designed it. It's still a very modular space. You can see here. This is usually my setup when I'm doing VR stuff, because this chair tends to be outside of the play, or rather slightly inside the play space that I defined. But it means that I can usually find it, sit down. I did just hang that up. I don't know if that's going to cause any problems. Probably not. I was just wondering because I was noticing the surface is very reflective, and you can see it's changes it. This isn't a very good place for it, but I wanted to just get it hung up somewhere. Now, okay, I've let that flow however it's going to flow. Let's talk about the anime, you know, the more important part of this. So, you know, I already panned over all of this. So let's talk about some of this stuff in more detail. For those of you not aware, these shelves are all double layered. And you'll notice that what's on the shelves here are alphabetical, but I had to stop adding to them because I ran out of fucking shelf space. In fact, I could probably start adding some stuff to the front here, but that's about where I ran out of shelf space. So this is mostly for DVDs. My collection is a little more DVD focused, but I started accepting Blu-rays at a certain point. I'm trying to think if there's a really good example here, because you can find DVD Blu-ray combos. I guess over here, Serial Experiments Lane, you know, you got the older release, and then I bought the newer remastered release, which had Blu-ray, but, you know, it was still early enough in my time here where I was able to fit it on there. Up top, I've got weirder shaped things and a shit ton of figurines. Most of these are Monsieur Baume, which I don't know if he's made any new, but there's a complete Baume series collection, even if there's a couple of different colored ones down there. And for the stuff I chose for up here, again, most of it is oddly shaped. So like right here, we have all the old NISA premium editions. You know, the really long ones. So they don't fit on the shelf too well, even though they're double length. But, you know, they stack really good. And then over here, Love Live dubbed version, I think, ended up there. And a bunch of the newer-ish. I mean, they're still kind of a year or two old at this point. I don't know. A stack of the Blu-ray stuff there. You can see the Tengen Toppa Gurren Lagann $500 Blu-ray box set and Cardcaptor Sakura. There's Darker Than Black on Blu-ray. So my Hime, those sets make sense as just being overall weirdly shaped, and then there was one normal DVD, so they ended up there. And my Monster Musume kind of ended up on top of that, because that's also a strangely shaped box set. The Dragon boxes are always nice to have together. There's the Rock the Dragon edition, and then up above that is all of our Pony Canyon stuff. We've got, you know, these are all the weirdly shaped ones, like Full Metal Alchemist, Infinite Stratos 2, Ghost Stories, Tokyo Ghoul, Gantz, I guess Garden of Sinners. Why can't I remember the other name to it? You can see in the corner there, Is It Wrong to Try to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? And then up here there are a couple other weird things, but it seems to be a little more devoted to figurines, and that's just my phone, don't worry about it. I'm actually surprised I've been able to put more figurines up here. Like, you can kind of see one back there that I didn't care as much about, but a lot of these, you know, some of them are new, some of them are moderate, bunch of stuff. I already showed you that there were DVDs here. These are the alphabetized, continued on from there. And then down here's, I guess there's some more there, and then you've got mostly, these are, well, we got a mix of stuff back here where you've got, I should just fucking open it and then worry about putting that sheet up later. But you can kind of see a lot of Pokemon strategy guides. This is a PS4 game that I think came with the Blu-ray Tales of Zestria. You know, important for a collector. Earth Children are weird. Okay, fun stuff. There's some books down here, but there's also some non-anime Blu-ray stuff that I guess I chose to put here. But usually the more interesting stuff is on this side, where you can see I've got a lot of my video game stuff, and it is fucking packed. This here, there's just stuff back there, but I have bought so many fucking Switch games that this is packed, and I can't help but think that maybe I should move these out to storage. You can see here, this is kind of triple layered, but you can see that it's not perfect, so oops, I'll figure that out in another lifetime. But it makes sense when you buy something on Blu-ray, even if I rip the DVD version or I rip the Blu-ray disc. These are things that I would want to probably pull out and put on the Blu-ray player if I really wanted to watch them or show them to a friend. So, you know, you got Marvel Cinematic Universe stuff, you got Game of Thrones, and you got many things. You got a pile of DVDs intended to go out to storage, which I'm trying to figure out. And the Blu-rays are starting to build up down here. This one just didn't re-rip. I'm still trying to decide what to do. Down here is where manga mostly are, except, of course, we got Mobile Suit Gundam Origin Volume 6, I think. Yeah. Because Volumes 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5 are down here. Whereas down here's where most of my... Yeah, I guess most of my import stuff is. Yeah, I thought maybe I did import this one. I don't remember. Some of these are official imports, some of them are unofficial. The difference being that official came from Right Stuff or something like that, whereas unofficial means something like... oh yeah, all three of these. Brigadoon, Your Name, whatever the fuck this is. I can't remember. I don't think that one actually ended up with subtitles, so I haven't watched it. I could be mistaken. But it also includes, like, Little Witch Academia. I guess some of them are Homomatic, Durarara, Unico, you know, all good stuff that I have enjoyed. But I kind of mentioned the Blu-ray stuff, and I guess we need to talk about that and this, because part of my goal here is to talk a little bit about my system here. Because like I said, all these DVDs are alphabetized, but I stopped being able to add to it, especially if you add like an A, then you have to shuffle everything else down. So I'm going to have to think of that system whenever I upgrade to a bigger one. But this brown shelf in the corner is Blu-rays, and because I'm running out of space, I tend to try to keep more notable stuff. So we have the Monogatari. We have that awesome Little Witch Academia movie one. Down here you can see some Girls in Panzer, Hunter x Hunter. Some of these aren't necessarily things that I would choose to keep here, because the idea is, you know, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid is actually really fun, and I can put that on for even probably people who aren't familiar with anime, and they'd still enjoy it. So that means that's a really high priority to have there. Hunter x Hunter I'm just going to watch eventually. We've got some Ranma, we've got some Psycho Pass, Sword Art Online, the Digimon Adventure stuff. I try to actually keep my Dragon Ball stuff here too, because, you know, as much as we make fun of Dragon Ball Z, it's got some good to it. It's part of our upbringing, kind of. And then we've got other stuff like Battle of Gods and Resurrection F and Dragon Ball Super. Saga of Tanya the Evil came over here. I don't even know what's down here. Because, oh, of course, because the stuff that's on the side like that is actually Raildex series. Okay, so then those aren't the only boxes anime stuff. So what are these? These are more oddly shaped ones. Some of them I actually have not processed yet. For example, this Speed Racer box set, that's actually a box set. If you didn't see me open it, it's got DVD, well, Blu-rays really hidden in the back there. There'll be a lot to process. But I kind of have accumulated things here that are weirdly shaped, like Legend of the Galactic Heroes and Nekopara. Things that maybe would be on top of shelves if I had any space, but I obviously don't. But also things that maybe I'm watching or planning to watch, like I have a friend that's watching My Hero Academia for the first time. You know, lots of stuff. This box here is actually Princess Principal, which arrived today, but I'm doing this instead of recording Anime DVD Collection Update, so you can expect me to open that next week. But for now, you can see these boxes. Now, the numbers on them don't really mean much, because these were the boxes I used to originally move the anime collection from my parents' home to this apartment. But for now, I'm putting Blu-ray releases and Blu-ray DVD releases in here. The idea being that they're kind of close to the TV. I don't want my anime going out to storage, so if I'm not putting something up to watch there, I'm going to put it here, and I'm going to add notes so that if I need to go and find something from one of these boxes, I have notes. And you can kind of see here, let's go under the table, that there are 6 of them. 5 are completely full, and you know, I'm filling up that one. The idea is I could probably stack these up higher, and I can get a huge concentration of DVDs in space. It used to just be a bunch of piles in the front of it, and this seems to be a good compromise. If you're curious about the duffel bag, that actually contains my my black Wii U and Super Smash Brothers materials. So, you know, I've got my Switch set up right now, and I don't have a good permanent charging situation set up. Sometimes I plug the cables in and I just put them on here, and I might actually do that before I go back into work, I guess. But, you know, this is kind of the main Switch setup. I guess, let's see, I'm pretty sure this isn't new. Or maybe it is. I'm trying to remember, because maybe I did this earlier this year. Maybe I did it last year. It's so hard to remember. I think it was last year. This is kind of an important showcase of figurines. These aren't necessarily my best figurines, but some of these, the Haruhi ones, are really good for this. I mean, the Bunny Girl thing, I mean, you could say most people wouldn't like the idea, but they are pretty huge figures. You can kind of see that they're like little titans compared to the other normal-sized ones. And then that elaborate Card Captor Sakura one is at the forefront. It makes for a good balance of stuff. And that's just a neat picture. It's a not like painted, it's a vinyl thing. So the original was probably painted. Anyways, TV stuff down here. You can see that there's some figures, but mostly you just have one of the most ridiculously complex rat nests ever. There's a new webcam that I purchased for the Twitch streaming stuff. I might have passed over these computers a couple of times, but not actually explained what they are. So why don't we go over here and fetch the keys to them? Because these two computers are hard drive servers, and I used to have two of them before, but now they're more officially dusty. But you can see here that I've got 12 hard drives set up there, and they're mostly the same hard drives from the computers before, but now they've got a much better setup. This one only has 9 out of the 12, so I've got space to put easily 30 more gigabytes in there. And these two servers are where I'm keeping digital backups of all my DVDs and select Blu-rays, either because the Blu-rays have content that aren't available on the DVDs, or because there's only Blu-ray versions available of them. Anyways, the goal here is basically to make it where I don't have to go and hunt down DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff, especially when I'm putting stuff in boxes and stuff like that. There's a secondary purpose of maybe trying to digitize some of them, but well, all these DVDs over here need to be ripped. Basically, well, they don't have to all be ripped, because let's see, if we look at this pile here, we're gonna have some of the, like, Go Shogun, that's a Blu-ray only thing. That one I might either already have a DVD version, or a DVD version will come out. Over here we have Najima, which obviously has had a DVD release before. But these piles kind of represent to do. And that's why you see these keep growing. Because obviously I record my DVD collection updates here and, you know, point the camera back there. So you can kind of see this stuff growing. Now, you haven't seen that there have been attempts to organize it, because this back here, you can kind of tell, used to have more space to it. And I haven't moved a lot of this stuff there, but I probably could. Yeah. There's still projects. I really want to reclaim all this space. There's also a couple Blu-rays, DVDs over here, just because I've been putting off processing all this stuff for so long. Oh well. You know, I think most of the stuff on the walls is more or less the same. I'm still at, you know, last year's calendar. I just left it at Nausicaa all year, because this kind of calendar actually has a additional stuff. Down here we have mostly, it's mostly movable electronic stuff. So obviously my backpack is how I'm going to take my laptop to and from work. But everything else is kind of, I put my portable gaming TV in there. I've got my SNES Mini and NES Classic, or other way around, in there. I've got various cables, basically stuff to help set things up at work. Here's notable Magic the Gathering and Pokemon decks, I guess. Trying to think if there's anything else interesting to mention here. You've probably noticed the white Wii U, which hasn't been fired up in a long time. That's an important server computer. That's an unimportant server computer. This one actually doesn't work right, and I need to rebuild it at some point. Ripping computer. But yeah, I don't think that there's much important. You kind of have stuff on the fridge, some anime stuff. But yeah, it's pretty much just a kitchen. As usual, it is possible for me to be watching anime and doing stuff here, but in practice, my multitasking has not been as great as it usually is. I don't think there's anything notable about the bathroom. If I've not shown it before, I do tend to have an Ozumega Dio and a Flandre Scarlet towels, but probably more interesting is actually the bedroom for a couple of reasons. First of all, my hentai shelf here, which is obviously really fucking stuffed at the bottom there, and I guess as I've ripped more DVDs, I'm going to start filling stuff up higher, or maybe reorganize these bottom shelves a bit. In fact, are those? Yeah, I guess I've got hentai DVDs down here, so I've already started taking over the bottom shelves, but that's for the best. This shelf really just needs to be completely repurposed for it. You can see that a lot of my new convention figurines ended up here, which is good. I don't think there's much different about the walls. Obviously, some of the less appropriate wall scrolls end up in here, but this stuff is kind of interesting. So the idea here is I need to still maintain a walkway to be able to go out that door potentially. But these, as you can see, are more boxes. These boxes, though, well, this pile of 6 here, this is where my DVD-only stuff has been going. So that one is actually the one I'm adding to, and this one is an example of a completely full one. So I guess I'm not sure if I'm going to go higher once this box is full, because that one's close, or if I'm going to do something with this. This here is other stuff. This has some computer parts from assembling stuff, and in here, this is actually a tabletop gaming. Which I don't know if this is... This one was just only very recently reassembled. I guess interesting things I didn't point out. I do have a switch dock back here. The signal isn't perfect, but it can sort of be read. Obviously that's the bed. And if I mention switch docks, I should you probably also notice the one over here that's attached to this display. So if I want to, I can actually have more than 4 set up, because I also have an extra switch dock here that I can hook up with that portable gaming monitor. Oh, and I guess if you notice this pile of crap here, this is mostly stuff I'm not sure what to do with. Usually there's like extra stuff. I should probably start putting this sort of stuff in a box or something. Here's a cloth from Testament of Sister New Devil Burst. Here's stuff for the anime convention. Next year's calendars, which I guess I have to dust off. But, this is kind of anime related. Anyways, that's pretty much the walkthrough of my apartment. If we're going to summarize anything, let's summarize again the system for how things are being organized, because I'm going to follow this up with a video from storage where I talk about that stuff. So, if it's anime, it's staying in the apartment. You got the older DVD and Blu-rays, which are alphabetized there and there. Blu-rays that I want access to go there. Blu-rays that I don't know if I need access to will go there. Stuff I still need to process goes here. And DVDs that are just getting stored are going here. Hentai, of course, goes here. Including the Blu-rays, because there's not that many hentai Blu-rays. So, that means I also keep non-anime Blu-rays here. But that's the organization system I have for now. So, of course, storage is never particularly, nice looking thing. But, there should be some interesting things in here. Various pieces of my life all over the place, of course. So, like, all the boxes piled here would probably have to be in a corner in the apartment. But, don't have to. So, I can keep all my old calendar. Whoop, here comes sliding. I've got boxes for a lot of my figurines in here in case I want to repackage them for moving or something. And the really big ones, of course, get stacked up. Old boxes down there that I used to move. But, there's just lots of things for parts of my life. Look, there's even a CD player. You can see here, this is where I tend to keep a lot of my boxes, the stuff that it's kind of neat, and maybe it could be reprocessed and used for art in some other way. These boxes here are pretty much what I've been spending my Christmas vacation working on, where my non-anime DVDs are in them. These 4 boxes are, of course, completely full. Let's see. While we're at it, I'm wondering if I want to grab some of these some of this wrapping paper for another year or something. I don't know, but you can also see I moved my soundtracks and stuff there. There's just some more DVDs in here, and of course a little fireproof safe in case a disaster happens here. A lot of this stuff it would suck to lose, but the stuff that I keep in storage that I really don't want to lose goes in there. So it's not much to look at. But, again, it's the little anime things that probably make this more interesting than, I guess, other storage units. This is how I keep my little apartment organized. And, oh yeah, I was going to also say, the reason non-anime DVDs come out here is this is part of my organizing system, where the DVDs are easy to rip, and playing them off the server is about the same quality as playing it in the DVD player. So, I keep these out here, since if I had to lose them, I probably would be willing to, even though there's stuff I really don't want to lose. Like in here, there's a Stargate SG-1. Scooby-Doo would also be nice to keep. They'd all be nice to keep, but yeah, I put the non-anime DVDs out here because, they don't need to be in the apartment. And as part of my apartment tour, I'm showing the swag I'm picking up from Ikkicon, because I kind of have to put these around. You might have seen them around. I got myself an Ike amiibo because I've got amiibos of characters that I've mained, and Ike is definitely someone that we've all mained, right? I actually got these really neat keychains. I'm just going to hang them up at work or something. Well, there's a little rubberiness, that's a little thing, but those are pretty cool. But I think mostly y'all are curious about the figures. This one, okay, I think this one kind of set the standard for what figures I was going to buy this year. I mostly like this Reimu one because of the bow. Assuming this is Reimu. It looks like her, but doesn't, so if it was somebody else I could understand. This one's kind of neat, and, it's small enough that I could probably put it in a lot of places. I think the next one I got was maybe Clown Piece here. I just kind of like the character, and, this one's kind of neat. It's got some action pose to it, and it feels like, I guess you can kind of feel the funness of her nature. She's a fairy. Maybe she's kind of a bitch. I don't know. And then I guess these next two are Shinobu. I'm pretty sure I got this one because, you know, this is just adorable. And this one being small and flat means it's actually got a lot of places it can go. This one I kind of saw, I guess, the back of the box from an angle. I'm like, I don't know, actually that one's kind of neat and cute. And I think it's Shinobu, but it's possible it is, and I'm just pretty sure it is, especially since that's kind of her footwear. You know, it's kind of cute. And Splendor here, I've actually played this game before, but you know, now I have my own copy of it. It's a fun game. Well, alright. That's everything, I think. Just looking around one last time. Alright. I'm going to go ahead and end this walkthrough here. Y'all have a nice New Year's.